Hello everyone, and welcome back to another edition of the Misfits Racing League. My name is Strifium. Joining me for Tier 2 action, Unicorn. How you doing?
I'm doing good, thank you, Striff. Looking forward to another one of these Grand Prix around my home circuit, Silverstone. We had a fairly unique race on Tuesday, so I'm looking forward to seeing it in action again.
Yeah, definitely a unique race on Tuesday. Another unique race. We had the Oceanic Division take to the circuit today. 3 safety cars, if you could believe it, and not a drop of rain, and it was a very interesting race. So we'll have to see what the Tier 2 boys are able to put forth on the grid in this one. Taking a look at the circuit, there it is, the iconic Silverstone, excuse me, twisting my words here. What an iconic circuit. Of course, you have all the usual suspects, the Cops Corner, you have Maggots, Beckett's, Chapel, Stowe, Luffield, of course Abbey, turn 1. It's got quite the history. Now, talking about this season, we are now into round 12 of Season 3 MRL action, if you could believe it. And now we're here for the British Grand Prix. Moving ahead, we have Hungary, Belgium, Italy, Singapore, Russia, Japan, as well as the US, Mexico, Brazil, and to finish things out, Abu Dhabi. Now, with all that being said, we're going to move on over and look at the teams for this endeavor. A couple changes to talk about. Cotters is in over at Mercedes full time. He is now replacing the Funky JJ, who has been out due to, well, real life, so who could blame him? And we hope him well. Yasko has a new teammate in Hyper. So Hyper is down from now Tier 1. He has stepped out of the major Ferrari seat there into the Tier 2 seat now. I do not believe he is going to be driving today, however. Not entirely sure. But of course, we have Gadwin and Liam over at Red Bull, Skybits and Little Bear for McLaren, Ali Avci and Undertaker for the Renault squad. It's Adrian and Wisp for AlphaTauri with Darian Alfie and Extreme over at Racing Point. Maxim as well as Cjoss for Alfa Romeo, and it's Crampy and Max Singster, the dynamic duo for Haas. And that's Domi and Squid, thank you for the raid, sir, over at Williams. Taking a look at the standings now. Now that we've had a good look at who's on the grid, let's take a look at where they've been going throughout the season. Domi leading the championship right now, 149 points. In the Williams, Kai Bacchini in the Mercedes, not too far behind, 139 points are his total. And then you have the reigning Tier 2 champion, that's Liam, in P3 there, 111 points. It's currently a Mercedes-led championship with Red Bull in second and Williams in third. Now, Little Bear is going to be receiving a 9 penalty point and 10-second penalty for causing a major collision in Austria. So that's one thing to note. 9 penalty points, no small thing. Take a look now at, well, this grid. I do believe, with all this being said, Unicorn, we're good to go here.
A couple drivers not arriving, so I think we got Dirk Chocolate, many of the fans will be familiar with. I think he's on standby, so we'll get him in as we've got a slot open for him if he joins. See, he was on standby, but other than that, yeah, I do believe we are ready to go. But
well, we'll just wait to get him in then, and we'll be all set. Of course, extremely excited after seeing the Oceanic grid take to the circuit, and of course the EU grid earlier this week. So 2 out of the 5 races of the week now in the bag. Of course, we have Tier 2, what we're about to jump into, and then later this evening we have Tier 1 action. And of course, tomorrow we have the Club Division. Now, the great thing here is the Oceanic with the 3 safety cars, it really threw some strategies into the equation. Doesn't look like I have Dirk in yet, but we are going to be going.
Yeah, I do think he's still a Wales team, so I think it is the best we got. 18 drivers, they're still a fairly sizable grid, but
couple of last minute dropouts. I think Hyper, that late switch, and then kind of shifted his schedule a bit. So I don't know.
Either way, we are underway here for what's hopefully another excellent race around Silverstone.
Well, with the way these guys have been talking in the Discord this week, we better be on our toes because they've been quite anxious. I'm gonna use that word, anxious, to jump into this one. I'll take you through this grid. We have Max MB, It's a Max, Undertaker, as well as Kai Bacchini, Extreme, Adrian, Domi, Tim over at Ferrari. He's in for Hyper. Cotters, Liam, Wisp, Gadwin. That's Crampian, Max Singster over at Haas. We have Relax in the McLaren in a reserve capacity. Squid over at Williams. Darian over at Racing Point. And then Yasko rounding out the 18 drivers on this grid for the 18-minute qualifying session.
Yeah, and we saw qualifying fairly interesting on Tuesday, where we saw people trying to get to grips with it. Obviously, much longer track than Austria, so a fewer attempts to get it right. So invalidations around here are more costly than they are at Austria.
Well, drivers making their way out of the pit lane now. Who is the first one there? I believe it may have been a Williams, if I'm not completely right. Or was it
Adrian in the AlphaTauri? There he is.
Right,
Someone else has hopped out the pit lane right behind him as well. Which is Max Inkster in that Haas.
Max Inkster, always the one that tries to get it, and we've seen him stop at nothing to get in the lead of the pack. I don't believe we're going to be seeing it today. I think he may have received a warning for that.
As his teammate Crampy's had an issue coming out the pit lane. I wonder if he's done... I can't remember who did it now, but someone span on pit exit earlier this week. It looks like Crampy may have done the same. Not quite sure. He was in the grass, but he's recovered. It doesn't look like there's any damage on the other Haas here, but interesting start to the session for him.
Adrian taking us through a little outlap of this iconic circuit. Really is home to some very historic races.
Yeah, in Silverstone, history in and of itself in terms of the track, one of the oldest on the calendar, at least in terms of F1.
Oh, definitely. You have Adrian beginning his lap now. He's coming through the chicane here into the final turn of Club. Hugging that inside. Get his way up through Abbey. Again, utilizing as much of that inside as possible. Coming through that first section of circuit. Through now, DRS wide open on that rear wing, down the Wellington Straight into Brooklands. Then through Luffield. Trying to keep it tight. It's a fairly clean lap so far we have here. Went through Woodcote. Up through Cops, and there's a big slide. Now, we've seen this before, Unicorn. I saw it 3 times today in the Oceanic grid.
Yeah, he's done well to catch that, but yeah, we've seen Cops a little bit catching some people out this week, and I know drivers were talking about even putting their car down into the lean fuel mix just to get around that corner without that potentially race-ending spin.
Well, today I saw Yukio bite it on lap 1. And that car managed to stay out of the terminal DNF list. Carried on through the race. Stars on the Ferrari, not so lucky. Lap 2, it caught him out. Big tank slapper. Max Singster P2, Domi into pole position. A 124.855 from him. Now, to give reference, the pole time in OCE today was a sub 124 time. So these guys are just getting heated up here. And Domi is the quickest so far. Crampy, a 125.4. So it's 2-3 for the Haas drivers at the moment. Squid with a solid time. He's been pushed into P5 as Tim crosses the line. 0.04 of a second quicker than the Williams, and that's the Ferrari in for hypers.
Cavaccini, a 125.1. I also think Liam, he came into the pits. I think he might have got caught out down at Cops as well. So already proving difficult for some of these drivers here.
Arian Alfie, he's into P3, a 125 dead. That's something you don't see all the time.
Yeah, very satisfying when all those numbers just look right. 125.000, very round number there.
Otters in the Merc.
126.1 from the other Mercedes. Pretty much exactly a second behind his teammate Cavaccini, who's up in 4th.
Now, I'm sure a lot of people want to see Mr. Wisp. He's on the medium compound tires, making his way down the Wellington Straight. DRS wide open at the rear. His teammate Adrian currently sat in P10. Coming through Brooklands now, Luffield.
Yeah, I think Gadwin, the only other driver to set a time right now on the medium compound tires. That's a 126.2. So I'll have to see where Wisp stacks up. But it looks like he's had a little bit of trouble through Cops as well. He's caught it, but he's invalidated as a result. Something about this corner that's catching drivers out. And I don't think we're going to see an end to it anytime soon.
Well, I'm going to be honest. I made an all caps message in the MRL chat earlier today, and I said, drivers, be on your toes and try to get a few runs in on heavy fuel, because it was the early stages of the race that caught the drivers out in Cops, but we're still seeing it with the light fuel. So setups here crucial coming through that section of circuit, and a lot of these drivers go in there with the assumption that it's just a flat out section of circuit, but depending on the setup, the fuel, and how you're going through, well, you just might end up with a terminal DNF. Squid with a minor improvement as he crosses the line there, nearly a 10th. Just doing chain laps on softs, it would seem. XMB in the Alfa Romeo now. He's flying down through Sector 1. No time set for him.
Yeah, we've got a couple drivers now coming on to flying laps. Undertaker in the Renault. He's yet to set a time. Coming down towards Cots to see if he can tackle this a little bit more successfully than those before him. He has made it through fairly cleanly. Coming down now into Maggots. Through Beckett's as well. Up through Chapel, DRS enabled for the hanger straight. Already halfway through the session on our clocks, so it's a little bit under halfway. And yet to set a time, Undertaker still a clean lap coming out of Stowe down into the Vale chicane. Around the final corner. And it's going to be a 125.6, 6th place for Undertaker in the Renault.
XMB out of the line. Canadian P3, a 124.894. I am happy with that. I am happy with that. Thank you very much, Mr. Maxim. Liam now, the other Canadian on the grid. I am biased. Sorry, I hate to say it, but it's going to be Liam now, the reigning champion. Cross to the line. P5 for the first run from him. Extreme has now abandoned his run. He is into the pit lane. So we have 17 of the 18 drivers with laps set here. Majority of the laps have been set on the soft compound tire. The only two to do otherwise are Gadwin and Wisp.
Yeah, you do see a lot of drivers favouring the softs especially in qualifying around here, because they are much more viable than on other tracks. There's not so much an issue with tyre wear around Silverstone, it's more tyre temperatures, I've heard. There's issues with the rubber around here as Maxime B pulled off at the side. A lot of people pulled off at the side through Maggotts and Beckett's out of Dommy's way. Completely off the track as the Williams comes down onto the hanger straight. He's pretty much dead on his previous time, which is currently second fastest on the grid. Fully utilising all the revs in his car through Stowe, down into the Vale chicane. Through Club then, and across the line. Less than a tenth down on his previous best, but still no improvement for the Williams.
Well, just jumping back to Kai Bacchini, he's coming through Maggotts and Beckett's, and he had a very clean Cops. And I had an opportunity to jump on with him in a call ahead of this race, and he said, yeah, confident here in Silverstone. So we'll see what he's able to do. He's got one run in now. He's coming through on his second up throughout Stowe. And, ooh, just a very tight exit there, costing him that lap, and it was looking good for him. So he'll have to get back in and out for another one there. Max Inkster, meanwhile, he's in the Ferrari. He's coming through. Just exiting Cops. He's into Maggotts Beckett's now.
Crampy in the Haas. He improves. Puts himself up into 6th at 125 flat. Just behind Liam. Pretty much identical lap times.
Ooh, big wide run out from Max there. Variety of drivers on the grid right now. On Flyers, Cotters is one of them. Take a look at anyone else who may be flying further up. Darian Alfie just coming through Cops. Oh, Darian's had a bit of an issue. His teammate Extreme flying through there.
Yeah, just losing the rear through Beckett's there. Not ideal for the Racing Point driver, but he does have time to go again. Currently sitting in P4, so not bad position already, but obviously if he wants to make an improvement, he's going to have to get that car back to the pits, fresh set of tyres, unless he wants to go again on already worn softs.
Cotters is on a flyer and is Squid. Squid's also flying the Williams. Cotters just a little bit ahead of him right now. See what the Mercedes is able to put up on the board here. Looking to improve on a 126.1.
Yeah, Squid's up on his previous best as well, but he's invalidated through Stowe, something we've seen very frequently in this session. But that is an invalidation. He looks like he's going to go again.
Gap to leader at present. Tim on pole with the Ferrari at 124.8. All the way down to, realistically, P12 is 1 second. From P1 down to P8 is 5/10, and you have less than 3/10 separating the top 5. So, for those that don't know what that may mean, these guys are going to be fighting real long in this race.
Yeah, we'll have to see how the dynamics of the race play out, because Tuesday the grid was fairly spaced out after the events that happened at the start of the race, which isn't something we were expecting. But yeah, these guys right now, they're putting on a very good display here in qualifying. Lap times will be starting to crumble, as you can see. A lot of drivers out on flyers right now.
Undertaker, he's in the Renault. He's just exited through Chapel now into the hangar straight. He's up 4/10 nearly, Unicorn.
Yeah, currently sitting in 9th. It's a fairly solid position to be in, and those 3/10 He's a little bit down, to be honest. He might jump Ancient, but jumping Kaibuchini might be a little bit difficult here as he rounds the final corner. It's just going to be Adrian, but a position is a position.
Yasko, he's up through Sector 1 and the other Ferrari. Tim in a reserve role. Yasko going to be wanting to put some serious rubber on track.
Yeah, the front runner's struggling. Tim and Maxime B both returning to the pits after invalidated flyers. Oh, as Liam's had an issue. He's spun it in a similar place to where we saw, I want to say, Darian Alfie in the Racing Point lose the rear. And he's got to be careful he doesn't get disqualified here for he's stuck in the off track.
Oh, Yasko has done the exact same thing that we saw. Oh, that's terrible. On the exit through Stowe, they just clipped that curb and it aborts the lap. And there's a variety of drivers out right now that are on aborted laps with red circuit maps coming up. Itzamak seems to be on an in-lap of some capacity. Kai Bacchini, meanwhile, he's on a flyer in the Mercedes. And I think Darian Alfie may be as well ahead. We'll jump on with him. He's coming through Cops. Nice and tight. We're going to take a look at what happens when we go through Chapel, because that's where we saw it with Liam, and that's where we saw it with Darian earlier.
Yeah, a couple corners that are catching people out by surprise here, it would seem. That's Kai Bacchini. He's just fought his car through Luffield. He has held it through Cops, though, very clean. Obviously a home race for the Mercedes driver.
A 10th improvement from Darian, shattering that beautiful 125 dead. Ibachini is flying.
Yeah, he's up a couple temps, and that was coming out of Sector 2, so right now he's set to jump into about P5, but if he does something through this final sector, he might be capable of going even higher, and he does. It's a provisional pole for the Brit at Silverstone. He's going to be happy with that.
Confident. Confident is what he said to me.
All on outlaps at the moment.
Neatly done from Kai there. He'll be happy with that for sure. A nice 124.799. Tim is on an outlap. We'll see if he's able to set something up here. Wisp is flying. Coming through Cops. Stream has had a retirement. It looks like Chapel.
Yeah, don't quite know what's going on down there for the Racing Point. Is the I can't see the damage on the car, but he is on the outside of the track. In the barrier.
Wisp E8, he improves his second here. Now, let's take a look at somebody who could perhaps put a stop to Kai Bacchini's time, and that's going to be Tim. He's in the Ferrari right now, just heading into Cops, and we can't really ride perfectly on board with him. Unfortunately, we're getting... Oh, and it looked like he had a bit of a drift there. Maybe the camera's playing with me, but that gearbox is playing with me just the same, just revving itself out. I don't know if it's doing that for you on your end, Unicorn.
Domi, a 124.6, knocks Kai Bacchini off the top spot, but as for Tim, his gearbox is fine on my end, so have a look. Maxime B's up ahead of him, though. Just come out of the Vale chicane. Can he take the top spot? He can't. It's second for him, 124.7. Tim's up 2/10, though. Can he knock off Domi? He can, a 124.5 coming out of the Ferrari in the reserve capacity.
Wow. What a tight top end of this grid. Look at the, wow. The times down throughout. This is going to be a tight race. Get the popcorn. Get your beverages, get your friends, get the whole family involved because this is about to pop off here in Silverstone, I think.
Yeah, Maxime and Kai, 1/100 of a second between the pair of them. This is going to be one hell of a race, I think.
Turn 1, Dirk Chocolate. Dirk Chocolate, the late contender in the Renault, ladies and gentlemen. He is here, he is flying.
Whether it's going to let him set a lap time or if he's going to get that glitch where it sends him to the back, and the time remaining as well is ticking down as well, but we'll have to see what the Brit can do around his home Grand Prix.
Yeah, if he's got the broadcast open, the first thing he's got to do is try to keep it. Oh yeah, he's retired it. I think I might have just done him in. I know Dirk. He's the type of guy that likes to hear the radio, and he might have just lost it at the wheel of that car. Unless the game retired him, who knows? But it's good to see Dirk getting it in time for the race.
I do believe that's it. As if on cue.
Well, Tim, in a reserve capacity, coming in and shattering the timing tower here on pole position in the Ferrari as well. That's going to be Domi lining up right next to him in the Williams, with Maxime B rounding out your top 3. Kai Baccini in the Mercedes in 4th, with Darian Alfie in 5th. We'll go down through the rest of this grid with you in just a moment's time and just take a look real quick at the times from lead down through all the way to 14th. It is 1 second between these drivers, and even then down throughout, Extreme and Dirk, no time set from either of those racers. I imagine they may be somewhere within that jungle of times. So this is going to be a fantastic race.
Yeah, for sure. And
if the times come as advertised, you know.
If it's anything as dynamic as Tuesday's race, I think, again, we're an absolute cracker, especially, like you said, those times, they're so close. 30 seconds on the clock then until we get underway for the formation lap.
Well, for those of you just tuning in, we're happy to have you here. Of course, we're here for Tier 2 Misfits Racing League action. It is, of course, round 12, and it's the British Grand Prix around the iconic Silverstone. My name's Strifium, and joining me for his home Grand Prix, essentially, Unicorn.
Yeah, Silverstone. Gotta love it when it comes to the UK F1, the birthplace. As everyone's.
Are you bragging?
Gotta flex these things when they come, you know?
Yeah, fair enough. Well, once again, Tim on pole position, Domi on the front row next to him, and then we have Maxime B, Kai Baccini, Darian Alfie, it's Crampy, Liam, Wisp, we have Squid, as well as Undertaker, Adrian, Gadwin, Max Inkster, it's Cotters, Yasko, Relax in a reserve capacity, it's a Max, Extreme, and at the back of this grid, choosing the soft compound tire as well, Dirk Chocolate in the Renault.
Yeah, I think the soft compound tire around here, even starting on it from further back, is not a bad shout with how long they last. The in-game graphic estimates 10 to 13 laps, so in theory, if you were allowed to, you could probably go soft to soft. Obviously, it's against the rules. You have to use at least 2 different tire compounds, but if you were permitted to do that, I think it would work here around Silverstone. So the soft to medium one stop, probably the most likely occurrence here if everything goes to plan. Safety cars don't come into play, but obviously they will. You know, things happen in the race that the drivers do not have control over. They cannot plan for them. And that's what makes racing so very interesting.
A lot of love for Maxim B in the chat, of course. Let us know who you want to see win this one. If you are watching along, we want to see your predictions, safety cars, and all of it. We love to see it as these drivers approach the grid. Of course, if you're new, hit that follow button. We've got Tier 1 racing action later. We've got tons of racing. We got Club tomorrow, and we have the Endurance Series this week. That's on Saturday, and if what a little bird told me is true, we could be looking at Suzuka. So that would be very, very nice.
Yeah, obviously no Nürburgring in this game, and everyone just forms onto the grid.
Well, Unicorn, it's time. Take us away here. It's Silverstone.
Here we go then. Everyone on the grid ready. They're waiting for the lights to go out on their screen. They're revving those engines. It's Tim on pole, Domi beside him, and they are away here for the British Grand Prix. Tim has got an absolutely stellar start, as has Kai Pacini. He's already pressuring Domi through turn 1. Behind them, though, Darian Alfie in the racing point. He's being pressured by the Alfa Romeo of Maxime B. They're going side by side. Up at the front, Kai Pacini, he's going up the inside of Domi. He's taken P2 away from the Williams driver. Maxime B and Darian Alfie. Looks like Maxime B might have disconnected from the session, and that's as a result of his problems. Wisp, though, side by side with the racing point, and they've spun. Well, Wisp has. He's caught the rear end of Darian Alfie going down into Brooklands.
What a race start we've had here. Wisp not going to be too thrilled about that. No VSC as of yet. Max Inkster has a really, really big mob of cars following him through cops right now. And this is where we've seen issues.
He's done it through cops. We've seen it before. We've done it again. He's lost his entire front wing. I hate to interrupt. And that is a VSC.
Yeah, there's Darian recovering to the circuit. Fortunately for him, not terminal. Wisp under VSC going to pass him now. Not entirely sure what Wisp's thinking. It's VSC conditions, sir. Max Inkster in 7th position. Let's take a look at the position changes real fast under this VSC. Tim still out in lead of this race. Kai Pacini's mugged 2 positions as he's made his way into 2nd here. Domi's dropped off of the front row. Crampy's up a couple slots, and it's just been a hectic start, but a real interesting jumble, excuse me, of positions as we're back to green flags. Domi with a really good jump on Kai here in the restart. Darian takes a 5-second penalty on his way into the pit lane to get things corrected on that wing.
Crampy and Liam there, side by side, as they approach Aintree. The Haas is losing out to the Red Bull, though, and not only the Red Bull, but Maxime B as well. He's sorted out whatever connection issues he's had, and he's not just happy with the Haas, he wants the Red Bull as well, not making the move up the inside into Brooklands, though, and that might have cost him a little bit of time. And it's Crampy looking back to try and retake the Alfa Romeo, not going to get it coming out of Luffield, though.
Time and Tire playing games with me presently, as everything will correct itself soon enough, I'm sure, when these drivers cross the line, but we're still looking at these 2 Canadians fighting for 4th. It's Liam under threat from Maxim. As you said, he seems to have gotten the connection sorted coming through Chapel. See Liam touch through the grass there. Now into the hangar straight. Good power coming out of these cars, but Maxim's got to worry about Crampy on the rear of him in the Haas as well.
Yeah, interesting start to the race. Everyone's still fairly bunched up, though. And Domi not releasing Kai Pacini from his sight. As DRS should get enabled here as we approach the 3rd lap of the race.
Domi sticking real tight to Kai here, not giving him any opportunity to make any mistakes. And now there's a kick out from the curb as Domi tried to hug it on the inside there. Adrian real tight to the rear of the Haas, looking for P8 right now, and there's a massive train of cars on this grid. Little battles happening all over. Speaking of which, it's going to be Maxim tight to the rear of Liam coming through Brooklands. Adrian back on Max Inkster, up the inside through Brooklands. He clears him coming through Luffield. This is going to open Max Inkster up from Cotters now.
Yeah, that little mistake through Village has cost Domi. I don't know whether anyone got past Kai Bacchini. He's still got DRS on Tim up at the front, but the DRS chain for the podium position still continues, but it's Kai Bacchini looking very advantageous on the Ferrari that doesn't have DRS. Up the inside goes the Mercedes, and he is well and truly passed well before Stowe.
It was about 3 overtakes on the hangar straight in that commotion. Kai getting into the lead of the race where he wanted it with pole. And then some late drivers coming through and getting it, and this is just a long campaign of defense now for Tim. And Domi on the inside coming through Abbey. He gets it done.
Excellent exit out of club there for Domi to enable him to get that move done down the start-finish straight. Not someone you typically see moves. It's not impossible, as we've just seen, but the DRS-enabled long straights.
Domi's just clinging on to Kai Bacchini with the DRS here. He almost lost it. Tim's right on his rear. There's another exchange. Dirk Chocolate from the rear of this grid making his way up the field now has made it ahead of Relax in the McLaren, and that's Adrian and Max Inkster in 8-9.
Fairly late on the brakes going down into Brooklands. Managed to make it work though, and now Adrian and Cotters. They're going side by side. Cotters well and truly passed before Cops though. And he now holds on to P9. Adrian dropping 2 places then this lap already in the AlphaTauri.
Well, we'll see if he's got an answer for this. There's been an issue, and that's going to be the Racing Point. Who's this now? Oh, that's a virtual safety car.
I think that's because Yasko's just retired though. Coming out of Maggots, I think. Or going into it. Quite sure what's happened to the Ferrari.
Entirely sure where his car landed. Very odd.
Yeah, both Racing Points now having come off through Cops, so not the Silverstone Grand Prix they were looking for as Squid comes into the pit lane. Is there damage on his car? No, I think he's just trying to take advantage of the VSC. Going for hards to the end. Interesting move from the Williams driver.
Things have stabilized somewhat. Well, no, not really. Everyone's still super bunched up together. And speaking of bunched up, Domi's so tight to the rear of Kai.
Yeah, these two, they've been locked together, it would seem, for the entire race. And they were battling it out during qualifying for the top spot, and now it's converted into the race. They've left their competitors behind. Tim not getting the restart, it would seem, off of that VSC. He's out of DRS range. But Cavaccini, he's trying to do exactly the same. Now, Undertaker and Gadwin looking at Adrian. Undertaker, he's up into P9. Is the Red Bull of Gadwin going to get him as well? He is. Adrian not having the best race this evening. He's dropped a few positions in the last few laps. Now out of the points for the AlphaTauri driver.
Relax. Wisp gets ahead of him into 14th position here as well. Gadwin real close to the rear of Undertaker, and these softs are going to start to, I think, get reined in by anyone on these mediums. And you have Max Inkster and Gadwin, the only two drivers on mediums presently. Squid onto the hards, Darian's on hards. Extreme went on those softs. So Squid and Darian on the hards. There we have Gadwin. Smooth up the inside into Brooklands.
I think Max Inkster and Gadwin here could pose an interesting threat, depending on how much pace they can get out of the soft compound tyres towards the end of this race. If they pit early enough and have that advantage for long enough and can keep that advantage, they could be very interesting forces come the last maybe 8 or so laps of this race. They can make the positions up, but right now the Haas of Max Inkster is under a little bit of pressure from the Mercedes Acotters. He doesn't have DRS on any car ahead of him, but the Mercedes behind him does. But Cordes is completely out of ERS, just 6 laps into this Grand Prix.
Undertaker.
And that's going to cost him big time.
Went back at Gadwin on the inside through Stowe. Gadwin with a good exit.
Maxime B as well right now. He's hunting Tim fairly aggressively for that final podium position they're fighting for right now. He's going to get DRS on the Ferrari, but a little bit of rear end sliding out, but it shouldn't matter too much for the Alfa Romeo. The DRS and ERS combination going to aid him, but he's not going to get past Tim just yet, but he's so close to the rear of that Ferrari.
He definitely had a serious think about it. And then I think it might have been the angel and the little devil on his shoulders there having an argument, because he had to think quick. That patience was the best option. Domi, meanwhile, real tight to Kai. Could we see it coming out through Chapel on the hanger straight? He's gonna have that DRS. As a bit of a slip up though, Kai I think had a much better exit through here, but that DRS is so powerful. Look at the speed coming out of the Williams. Around the inside now for Domi. Kai with a fantastic move through Stowe. Really, really in control of that Mercedes right now, defending super well.
Yeah, Maxime B almost pulled off almost identical move as Wisp passes his teammate Adrian for P13. But yeah, Maxime B on the other hand, he dropped out of the move down into Stowe. It was a bit too late for the Alfa Romeo, but he's got plenty of time to try and worm his way past the Ferrari ahead. There we go then. Will anything happen? Down for these podium positions down the Wellington straight. Domi, he's thinking about it on Kai Bacchini, not going to take the move down into Brooklands, but the same can't be said for Maxime B. He's had a little tap with Tim. Tim, he's not been able to hold the spin. He's off into the grass in the Ferrari.
Liam, I wanted to switch to Liam there. It happened so quick, but Liam just barely escaped that. We saw the Ferrari come round. The Red Bull was heading straight into that Ferrari, and he must have had to really maneuver his way out of that one. We'll have to check back in a second for damage. Meanwhile, Domi's still hunting down Kai. Maxim, he's in third, but he's got his Canadian friend on the rear. Domi, Kai fighting through Stowe. Still, we saw it last lap. This time, does Domi get it done? Jumps into the pit lane. So he's going for an undercut here on Kai.
Yeah, this is going for hard. Tim as well, he's coming to the pit lane. There's no damage that I can see on this Ferrari though. It was a light tap to the rear and I don't think he hit any barriers once he was off the track. So just a tyre change, an interesting strategy, presumably soft to hards.
Liam, he's in third position hunting down Maxim. Checked in with his front wing, no damage to report.
Yeah, and he's still within DRS range of Maxime B as well, so not a race-ending incident for him. Whether Tim can fight his way back up, as Maxime B again seems to have some sort of connection issue here. Is this going to allow Tim to get past? Maxime B completely teleporting up the track, so
hate to see it when those things come into play. Wisp and Insamax now with an exchange. Insamax looking to come back at that Alpha Tower. He's coming at the inside, coming down through cops. They come together. That's the Alfa Romeo round. Ooh, that was so touch and go. Relax inherits a position as well.
Yeah, it looks like Kai Bacchini and Liam as well. They're coming into the pit lane too. So let's find these drivers think mediums.
Maxim stayed out. He just says, "Okay, I want to lead a lap. Thanks, guys."
They are coming in here fairly early. You know, the game predicts a between lap 10 and 13 pit windows. So if Maxime B is listening to Jeff on the radio, that's what he will be suggesting, I would imagine. Meanwhile, the two drivers on the medium.
I was just about to say.
These guys are looking very nicely positioned for this race right now, but they got to not make the mistake of staying up too long on these medium tyres. The softs last a deceivable amount of time around here. As Maxime B's left the session, that's not what you want to see. Maybe we can get him back in here.
Very unfortunate. Hopefully it's not a technical error and we can see him jump back in. Meanwhile, Kaibachini and Domi are having an exchange. These two drivers were fighting for lead of the race a moment ago. Now they've come in for some fresh rubber. Domi ahead of Kai.
Yep. As well, Gadwin still on the rear of Max Inkster.
Domi has made the move on Itamax now, and this is going to give him a little bit of space. But a beautiful shot coming up through Stowe there, and Kaibachini has his opportunity now coming out of Club. Up the inside, coming through turn one. This could be spicy. How's this going to go? Do we have the angle? No, we don't. Kaibachini is off, and he is out of this race. No! Why don't we get the good angles? Oh dear. Safety car has been deployed here on lap 11.
Yeah, that is not what you want.
Oh.
Especially as a British driver.
All you see is, well, I don't know if we can call that a good angle. It was a very unique angle for the broadcast, to say the least. Having a car just rip wide coming out of that camera shot. But safety car has been deployed. Everything's come to a standstill. And that is a damn shame if I've ever seen one. Kaibachini, bad luck, sir. Not entirely sure what happened. Of course, stewards will have an opportunity to review, but that was two drivers wheel to wheel through there on the, well, the way we saw it going into it. We have no idea what happened going through it. So, let's talk about Max Inkster and Gadwin a second.
Yeah, I was about to mention it. I realized I was on mute because I've been trying to get Maxime B back in the session, but yeah, they've hopped into the pit lane as well as Dirk and Relax. They've stayed out a little bit longer on these soft time tyres. It'll be interesting to see where obviously they're going to end up probably around 14th place for Max Inkster. Well, it might actually be a little bit further up than that. It might come out in about 12th. Completely off. Max Inkster's come out in 5th place on fresh mediums. Gadwin's gone for hards though, which is interesting to me. Why he wouldn't go for, so, I mean, 14 laps will be a little bit difficult. But on soft compound tyres, and obviously the medium's not available to them to the end of the race, that is.
Yeah, that was a very unique. I wish I had an aerial view to see that, because that would have been something else.
Yeah, for sure. It was a fairly aggressive looking crash from the end of the onboard for Kaibachini. But yeah. It's unfortunate for the British driver to end his race in that way. But there are still a few in the top 10. Squid Dirk and I believe Crampy as well. all at their home Grand Prix. You can see the two racing points. They're still trying to catch up to the safety car queue.
Well, this does present Darian with a very good opportunity. He's been on the back foot since the race began. This is going to give him an opportunity to jump back into the fight. Timing towers just reset on me. Not entirely sure why we're having... I thought we were past this. Timing towers. It's been a minute since I've had to deal with it.
Yeah, at least it is under safety car conditions.
It just lights back up.
Again, a few drivers here seem to be having some sort of connection issue to the game this evening. Cashman leaves the game. Hopefully we can get him back in as well as we wait for these two racing points to rejoin the end of the grid. And like you said, this is an excellent shot at redemption for the pair of them who lost it through cops very near the start of this race, and that's cost them ever since.
How does it feel seeing a Williams 1-6 right now? I think it's fantastic.
Especially around Silverstone, it's a brilliant sight to behold. And one of them has a British driver at the helm as well, so...
That's right, Squid. And you have the Hungarian of Domi leading the race.
Speaking of British drivers, Dirk Chocolate just picked up a 5-second penalty for ignoring yellow flags. Down in 9th.
I have a feeling that's one of those lovely give-and-go exchanges with the driver under safety car conditions where they have to play and unravel that puzzle.
Yeah, safety cars in this still, it seems, throwing a few curveballs at drivers here and there, but...
I have a feeling it's going to give us a late call to come in here.
Yeah, for sure. It's still got...
Unless the timing tower has completely wrenched it. Maybe the desync. I don't know. All I know is that Liam's engine is just not bearable presently, and it is going around again. That is. So, lap 14. Looks like we're going to have green flags. Maxim has left the session once again. Connection problems plaguing things here.
Yeah, we're doing all we can to try and get him back in the lobby. But surely the safety car has to come in this lap. And we'll have, what is that, about 11 or 12 laps of green flag racing, hopefully.
Position changes on the tower now. You can see where everybody began and where everybody has landed in this restart. A lot of green in the top 10.
And I think as well the safety cars evened out the playing field for these medium tires. One person who might struggle, Squid. We were just saying how it's nice to see a British driver in a Williams in 6th place, but 8-lap-old Hards, he's stuck with his strategy, and that might cost him here. And it's interesting that he's chosen to stay out on those. I hadn't paid too much attention to it when we were talking about it earlier, but 8-lap-old Hards when pretty much everyone behind him, bar Gadwin, is on fresh mediums, Gadwin being on fresh hards. It's going to be very difficult for Squid to keep that car where it is right now come the end of this race.
Yeah, Maxim's suffering major connection issues right now. Not entirely sure what's going on is in his end here. But it is affecting the lobby presently.
Yep, the safety car has been called in though to the pit lane. So the race as a whole will be getting back underway.
Domi leading the charge here, Maxim, and I do believe what is an AI-controlled car at the rear. Crossing the line now. Back to green flag racing. The timing tower is updating and we're away. Everything clean thus far. No major moves. Darian Alfie has had an issue. Ooh, you hate to see it. Now Cotters and who's this? Relax. There's a variety of drivers outside of turn 1. So Relax, Cotters, Darian Alfie, all with issues on the restart here. Tim, wheel to wheel now on the inside. That's Gadwin. On the hard compound tires to the end here.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Max Inkster does as well. He was on the same strategy at the start of the safety car, but he's opted for the soft compound tires as Maxime B is looking on the inside of Domi into Cops. He's backed out of it, thinking better of it. You could try and go around the outside, but at the inside, very ambitious.
Well, we saw what that can cause earlier. Extreme. Adrian's retired. And that's outside of Cops, and we have another safety car deployed, and I have what on earth has been happening?
I reckon we could see some people come into the softs here, because I reckon you could take them to the end of the race, especially the likes of Squid. I wouldn't be surprised to see him come in.
This is really interesting. This is completely wrenched strategy. Domi and Maxim are coming through here, and they're gonna catch the safety car in their mediums.
Yeah, so Squid, Undertaker taking advantage of this. I have to see. Don't think anyone else is taking advantage unless Darren Alfie is coming in. Don't know whether he's got damage on that racing point.
I warned everybody about Cops. I'm just saying.
Indeed, this has worked quite nicely to Squid's hands. It's resolved his tire issues.
We saw the very same situation in Oceanic today. I was saying earlier how interesting Oceanic was because we had a safety car, and that safety car, well, it had everybody, tight. Everybody's pushing. Everybody wants to pass. Next thing you know, we have another car in Cops, and we have another safety car. So, correct me if I'm wrong. We've just seen it again. Domi, Maxim, Liam, your top 3 right now. It is the 2 Haas drivers of Max Inkster and Crampy, 4 or 5. Tim in 6th. You have Gadwin in 7th with Dirk Chocolate in a late call reserve capacity in 8th with It's a Max in 9th, and Wisp rounding out the top 10. You have Extreme, Cotters, Relax, as well as Squid, Undertaker, and Darian left in this race. Adrian, Kai, and Yasko all retiring.
Yeah, it's definitely been an interesting one so far. This sort of block of safety cars, though, hindering the racing for the time being, but these tires on these cars, they've equaled the playing field, and we'll have to see how this affects the end of this race. It's going to keep everyone nice and bunched up. They weren't too spread apart anyway, but now with the safety car, there's no excuse for being far apart. It's all bunched up, ready to go. Some close racing. Hopefully, Darian Alfie can catch the rear of the safety car before the cutoff point for it being dragged into the pit lane, rather than forcing it to go around too many more laps.
You participate in league racing. You're a driver on this grid, Unicorn. Let's just say, hypothetically speaking, what the heck is going through your mind? Back-to-back safety cars.
I think it depends who you are on this grid. I think for the likes of Domi, this is not what he wants. Really. His tyres are slightly older than most of these guys on this grid. Same story is true for Liam and Tim. So they're not going to be happy with this. Whereas if you're someone like Squid, who it's just resolved your tire problems, I think, you know, it's a good thing. But with a broad brush painting everyone on the same picture, this is safety cars are fairly taxing. You know, you'd think driving slower in these cars would be easier.
No, it is not fun.
It is far from easier. This is possibly the most stressful it can be in this race, bar turn 1.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it impacts your flow, especially when you get one and you're just about ready to go racing. You have what we just had there, a quarter of a lap, a third of a lap, and then you're instantly taken straight out of it again, put straight back under safety car conditions as it's coming in this lap. But you have to reevaluate your options. You have to get back in the safety car mindset, and now Domi's going to have to restart this race, and they're going to have to get back into that flow, and it's who can get back into that racing mindset quickly that's going to benefit the most here. And obviously tires is going to play a role here as well.
Absolutely not giving Domi any breathing space. He doesn't want to see anything tricky happen. This can be dangerous when you're stuck this close on a safety car restart, especially considering these drivers have no idea where the heck this guy's going to take off here. But he's going to look like he's going to come here through Club. And are we going to see wheel spin for Maxim? I think we are. Domi with a fantastic exit. Liam is looking at an exposed Maxim. We have another exchange. Squid on these softs already, making up positions. Wisp as well. It's a Max. Stream in this exchange. Very intense restart here.
He's managed to create a little bit of a gap between him and Liam. But Max Inkster still on these soft compound tyres. He's going to have benefited quite a lot from these safety cars. He's going to have been able to preserve those tyres that he would have struggled to get to the end, but they would have been worse for wear.
Stream gets ahead of It's a Max quite nicely, I might add, coming through Brooklands and Luffield. We'll look back now. It's a Max under threat from Cotters. Looking at drivers coming through cops right now, making sure that nobody has any issues, and so far it looks like it's all clean. As we jump back on with Tim in the Ferrari.
Yeah, he's looking at both of the Haas cars. That's Max Inkster and Crampy. Crampy and Tim, though, on fairly old medium compound tyres. We'll have to see how these fare towards the end of this Grand Prix. I think they should be fine. Max Inkster, though, in the Haas ahead of Crampy. He might struggle.
Can't count out Gadwin here, and Cotters with a move here. It's a Max and him exchanging. Coming through the chicane. It's a Max holding on to 11th for the time being. Cotters and him brushing wheels a bit. This has opened up Cotters to Squid. Squid's through on the outside. He takes a 3-second time penalty as a result, though. That's going to cost him. We talked about it all season long with these safety cars. Darian Alfie, meanwhile, 2/10 on the rear of Undertaker, is looking for P15, and he wants to get into this train as best he can. Unfortunately, we can't really ride on board with him due to the rev glitch on our end. But Squid, I can't even do it with him either. But he's still tight to the rear of It's a Max.
Yeah, Dirk Chocolate as well. He is in a fairly good fighting opportunity right now. He's in P8 right now after starting right down at the back of this grid in the Renault, just behind Gadwin, who's on those hard compound tyres. So the pace Dirk Chocolate has compared to Gadwin right now might see him gain a position in the coming laps if he can stick with the Red Bull.
Well, Darian Alfie's made it ahead of Undertaker. Squid looking at It's a Max now. Going down the hanger straight, no DRS yet. Squid with a lot of power. Holy cow, coming out of Stowe right now. That's going to be Squid on the outside coming down through the chicane. Ooh, It's a Max squeezing him off a little bit there. This is going to cost everybody in the rear some time.
Yeah, It's a Max super late on the brakes there to defend against that move from Squid. This is a yellow flag. It's Relax MB off into the gravel trap. I can't see if there's any damage on that McLaren.
Front right
of
looks
right now.
good, but I can't look at anything else. Jumping back on with Tim. He's still hunting down these two Haas drivers right now who are keeping tight formation 4-5.
Just an update on Relax. His car does seem to be okay, but he is obviously now almost 20 seconds behind the nearest car.
XMB has been showing stellar pace here in keeping up with Domi and somebody else who would be in this fight, I imagine, Kai Bacchini, as he had a fantastic first stint. Dirk Chocolate, Gadwin now exchanging. Dirk Chocolate through in 7th.
Yeah, Gadwin having some sort of issue, it would seem, coming out of Chapel.
Yeah, he's exposed to Wisp here in that sister Alpha Tauri.
Squid and Max, it's a Max, sorry. They're still going wheel to wheel again through the Veil chicane. It's a Max just holding on to P11 for the time being. Codders is just watching this. He's ready to pounce. He hasn't got a lot of ERS to take advantage of, but he's still ready and waiting for these guys to fight it out.
There's a big snap out from Cotters. He's under threat here. That's going to be Darian Alfie around the outside into 13th position. And Darian Alfie is on a recovery hunt here. He's down through Brooklands real tight to the inside. And we're going to jump on with Darian here as best we can, because he is in turbo mode. Up the inside coming through Woodcote.
Yeah, Squid has made some sort of error, and it's going to be Codders looking up the inside into Cops. Again, backing out, realizing that that's not a good idea. As Tim up ahead, looking at Crampy now. DRS, Crampy has dropped out of DRS range of his teammate, and it is Tim flying past the first Haas. Is he going to catch Max Inkster towards the end of this race?
Gonna be a tough sell. Darian Alfie now coming into Stowe. He's working on the Alfa Romeo of Itzamax. Going down on the inside, wheel to wheel through the chicane. A little bit of a tap there. That's an end plate off from Itzamax. He's come round. Squid's gone into him, I think.
Squid's gone into the pits.
What has happened to Squid? He's retired the car. Why has he retired the car? What on earth happened over with the Williams?
Not quite sure, but Gadwin looking at the rear of Dirk Chocolate. DRS enabled on Red Bull just a little bit too far back, going down through Brooklyn, so he's not going to be able to claim 7th place from the Red Bull for the time being. Still carrying a lot of speed compared to Dirk Chocolate. Obviously, Gadwin's tyres, they're going to be completely fine. The Minions probably not going to be feeling too much either at this stage of the race, but still 4 laps to go. As we see Tim, he's caught the other Haas within a lap. He took Crampy down the hanger straight last lap, and even though Max Inkster has DRS, Tim's still catching him. I don't think it's going to be quite enough unless he can get an absolutely insane drive out of Stowe. Doesn't look like he's got the exit he needs to make that move up into P4. But he's so close through this Haas now, who is just fallen out of DRS range of Liam ahead of him, so P4. Very worrying for the Haas crew with this hard-charging Ferrari coming through the pair of them.
They're going to look at the position changes. Fastest lap as well. 127. Point, I believe that's a 492 from Darian. Tim on the inside coming through Brooklands now. Oh, and that's a hook from the rear of the Haas, and that's going to be Tim round. Ooh, I don't know about that one. That might have been... Stewards will have a look later, but unfortunate for Tim.
Yeah, no damage on the Ferrari, but he is now out of the points, and he was having such a good drive here in the closing stages of this race. Speaking of good drives, Maxime B, he's caught back up to the lead of this race in the form of Domi and Williams.
We almost watched Wisp become a statistic through Cops and Maggots and Beckett's here. He had a big slide and he did a good job of catching it.
Crampy, he's got up to his teammate as well, so Max Inkster maybe hasn't been as cautious as he needed to be on those soft compound tyres, and he might start to feel the effects of tyre degradation. He's still got 3 laps to go on those soft compound tyres that are already 11 laps old.
Gary and Alfie into the points on softs. 2.2 seconds to Extreme, his teammate for the season ahead of him. He has had one heck of a dynamic race now. Crampy and Max Inkster. Gunter Steiner made the call.
Yeah, I think both of the Racing Points has done a pretty solid recovery drive. Both of them were so far back, and now both into the points. They may not be many points, but they're more than they would have been had they just given up, retired the cars when they were so far down. The safety cars brought them back into contention, and the drivers have dragged those cars into the top 10.
I think Gadwin's in a fantastic position here to the end of the race if he's able to reel in Dirk Chocolate here. Dirk Chocolate, he's reeling in Max Inkster ahead on these softs, and Gadwin's just along for the ride. He's got Wisp crawling up his gearbox on those mediums, but these hards, I think, might just carry a little bit more pace on the final lap of this one.
Yeah, Gadwin, and a little bit of an issue coming out of Chapel, but I think him and Wisp as well, he's not doing too badly, as Dirk picks up a 3-second time penalty, so that could factor in to this fight. But yeah, Max Inkster's struggling right now on those soft compound tyres, and Gadwin seems to be a little bit faster than Dirk at this stage of the race, so if they can catch him, as Wisp sets his personal best time, I think, so his tyres are feeling great.
Oh, but he's just stepped in it.
3-second time penalty.
Yeah, he's just stepped in it with that 3-second time penalty. Penalty is going to play such a role here. Maxim, he's got that less than a second. He's just been sitting on Domi.
And it's not like he's been reserving ERS either. They're on pretty much the same battery charge.
You know, one thing to talk about Max Inkster, if I'm not mistaken, he's just not a huge fan of this circuit, but I think after today, if he's able to keep that car parked where it's at in this timing tower, he will be quite the fan after this.
Yeah, it just takes one good race, good fun race, when you do well, to change your opinion on a circuit like that. And like you said, I think Max Inkster here, his strategy starting on the mediums, I said it was a bit unorthodox, but it can work out, and it's worked out here. The safety cars coming in maybe a little bit earlier than he would have liked. 2 laps later, and I think he would have been potentially even further up this grid, maybe ahead of his teammate in 4th place, but still 5th would not be a bad result at all. And for the constructors as well, Haas right now
on the inside now. He's on Domi. He's just made it through. In through Abbey, turn 1, and it looked like a bit of a cut. He may have taken a warning there. I don't know if he took anything for that, to be fair. It looked like he cut it. I don't know. I have to watch it back. It was very fast. Domi says no. He wants it back. We're on the final lap of this race, and this is a battle for the win. Rampy's just taking a 3-second time penalty, and you can see right now in that midfield on this timing tower, things are very tight.
Yeah, it's the second move we've seen through turn 1, and it's, you know, not somewhere you typically go for a move, but if the opportunity presents itself, and Maxime B obviously thought it was in the last lap, you've got to make these moves. But is Domi going to be able to get the exit he needs out of Chapel down onto this long DRS straight that is the hangout, straight down on Maxime B? You can see Maxime B trying to make this slipstream as difficult as possible for the Williams. He covers the inside. Domi around the outside. Who is going to get the better exit out of Stowe here? It is going to be Domi still in the lead of this race. Maxime B's got a red fuel light on his car. He's got to be careful he doesn't get put into low fuel mode, but it is Domi in lead of this race, coming round Club, and he takes the checkered flag first. And penalties haven't played a role here, as Liam now takes second place away from Maxime B as Max gets onto the podium.
Max Inkster has just landed a podium
Well, if he wasn't happy with 5th, I'm sure he'll be absolutely thrilled with 3rd.
Oh my god, absolute scenes. Max Inkster. Domi took the win. Liam with a very, very stellar drive in P2. But I think everybody's looking at Max Inkster here. But we have to say one thing, of course, and that is that this race may get reviewed by the stewards on the timing tower. There may be some shuffles, but I have to say that is one very interesting looking podium. Dirk Chocolate, ladies and gentlemen, the driver of the day. He made up a very large amount of positions in this one.
Yeah, and Max Inkster, a Scottish driver, so the closest thing he's got to a home Grand Prix. But it is Domi taking the top spot for now.
I do believe Yoda is confirming that it was a Maxim win. And because of the desync issues and things like this, he had to receive a 5-second penalty. But you can see here, that is clearly not the case. Not a single penalty in sight. Domi with the win, though. According to this timing tower, I have to go by what I'm looking at. But I think that's Maxim there.
Well, even if Maxime got a 5-second penalty, he'd only be 2nd according to the time here. Right? It's 5.4 seconds off the win.
Well,
that's what I'm seeing.
As I said, stewards will review, and the standings, the official standings that you can find on racinghub.io will reflect the official standings once the stewards have an opportunity to review. The fastest lap, Darian Alfie. I have to just commend this driver right here. Has had one heck of an up and down performance in this race. Max Inkster 13th to 3rd. Dirk 19th to 8th. We've had some big winners here in this one. 18th to 10th for Extreme. Congratulations and thank you to everybody who participated. And of course, thank you to everybody who tuned in for this very bizarre race. Very bizarre.
Bizarre, but thoroughly enjoyable. The grid, it was close, and the racing was close, but not necessarily in the finishing order we would have expected, at least provisionally, that we're seeing here. But yeah, a brilliant race that was thoroughly enjoyable to watch commentate with you as always, Jeff.
It definitely was a very unique, fun race to commentate. Of course, thank you as always. We are going to be rating a member of the lovely Formula One Twitch community in just a moment's time. But of course, before that, we have some last minute messages for you. Of course, if you're looking for the replay, looking for the highlights, check us out on YouTube. We've got the Twitter. We've got all that fun social stuff. But first and foremost, make sure you hit that follow button here before jumping on in that Discord if you're looking to race with a bunch of fantastic guys. We're not just a league. We're a community of great people. And everybody's just trying to help everyone else get quicker. It's just everyone's getting fast. It's lovely to see. Of course, we are going to be back in 45 minutes time. 45 minutes. Tier 1 action. We're going around Silverstone and doing it all again with an entirely different grid of drivers for you. And I hope we see rain, as always, but maybe not, of course. Thanks a lot, everybody. We will see you in just a short period. 45 minutes. 45 minutes. And we're going to raid someone in just a quick moment, so don't go too far.